Today we are talking who is a man, asking the Honorable Chief Justice of India a question: are you a male or a she-male or whatever, what's your gender? This is very humiliating. And I just went into a local train, and then suddenly the girl was afraid. She was asking her mom, is it a girl or a boy? On social media, they message and then say, hey, come and dance with me. It's horrible to hear such things.
Hello and welcome to Lokajano podcast. My name is Srishti, host for today's session. Today we are going to discuss about the concept of inclusive society in modern India. We know that every individual has the right to equality, irrespective of race, sex, gender, etc. However, how far our Indian society has well adapted to it is a matter of debate. To discuss this topic, we have a very special guest today, Dr. Anita Prasad. Dr. Anita is a Munich city-based businesswoman. She is the first Indian origin transgender woman of Germany and Europe, an influencer and writer in LGBTI plus community. Thank you so much for coming to the podcast.
My pleasure. It's my pleasure.
Thank you so much. And I'll just start with my first question.
Sure.
You just describe your inspiring journey to our audience?
Yeah, definitely. I have been into engineering business and also software business now about 28 years. And I have my businesses established in America, UK, all around Europe, also in India. So I've been traveling extensively in the past. And I made a couple of business exits. And now basically I am mostly into the consulting role for IT. And I have few patents in information technology and engineering, product engineering. That's the short background. And I'm also a pilot, and that's my hobby.
That's really interesting. Now, coming to the topic, when we talk about inclusive society, is it a modern world concept or has it been historically mentioned in our ancient religious scriptures?
Yes. If you see the Hinduism or the Sanatana Dharma that we call it as, the practice that what we do in India, this is basically it's a wonderful practice which is like even much more beyond the Roman or any sort of civilizations that we have seen, and much beyond. And the kind of cities or the practices that we have built across, probably even the worldwide in the Indian, experiences. It's amazing, right? I mean, to note the kind of history or the kind of transition that the Sanatana Dharma has gone through the many years. And it has always been in Sanatana Dharma. You see the even atom or electron, neutron, proton, any sort of things, they have a separate space of visibility, and they have a respect, right? I mean, it's not like, okay, this is something which we don't want to do, or it is unseen material, right? So even unseen and seen have a respect in the Sanatana Dharma as a principle. So as the humankind itself, they evolved. So they understood that, very clearly that the kind of the human differences, I would say that, we have so much of biological sexes and the binary, the heterosexual, I would say, that the Hinduism recognized much, much more before anyone even could think of. And they have an inclusivity, an inclusive culture, an inclusive society. And if you look at the kind of dated back, in the history of India, all the temples you see, you go to any temple, 3,000 year, 5,000 year, 10,000 year, whatever, there are plenty of archaeological histories that they are available. You see on the Indian temples, there are many, many carvings, and these carvings are nothing but each one shows up, or let's say, depicts the kind of strength that kingdom had, and then you also had the kind of horses or elephants or camels or etc. That's the strength, I would say. Then the soldiers, and then you have the traders who is to come from international locations. So you'll see them on even on the temples, all the different god and goddesses in different forms that they would go through it, and also the Kama Sutra openly. So it's like a place of education for the visitor, rather than we being a protective culture. No, we should like close off. We should never speak. This is the latest trend what we have actually going through, right? So according to me, and in the kind of context, the modern generation, that's so called, or the people who have just born after the Indian independence, they're completely confused. That how do I need to go ahead? What do I need to do? Because the kind of knowledge is certainly not available freely to the society. This is the biggest issue that I see, today. And these kind of temples, which became a knowledge center for everybody. People, in the olden days, of course, they had even a kid learning this, no matter what was their age or what was their interest, and you will see a different sort of creatures and human beings, and everybody were getting it. And even you would see that god and goddesses, or like for example the Lord Krishna or Rama, during the period of Rama also, the many people who shifted their genders just like that. It's not like today if someone does, it's like considered to be a sin. So this is the biggest issue that we are presently going through, and the kind of knowledge is pretty much essential. And the gender dressing code, the senses and the behavior pattern and such kind of things are pretty well established today by the society. They have defined it, and they are not ready to modify it. This is the issue, right? And even if you see, dated back about 2000 or 2500 years from now, the Hindu Dharma Shastra, or the Sanatana Dharma Shastra, or Manu Shastra, what we call it as, there are scriptures in the Indian religion which has been written very clearly, that has the complete inclusivity and the inclusive system. Of course, we agree that the Vedas or the Upanishad or the any other literature in the past does not contain. But for this reason, the Hinduism itself have written this information in the Hindu Dharma Shastra. So most of it has been written and requested to be followed. So this is where I wanted to bring some light, Srishti, about this.
That's really interesting. Like it has already been documented in our ancient scriptures. So there
Yeah.
was this recent campaign by Starbucks to promote trans inclusivity, but people just opposed it, citing that it's promoting the Western idea of homosexuality on the Indian audience. So why are we still debating all these concepts in 2023?
See, Starbucks, is only trying to facilitate the movement, and they have joined this inclusive journey. But apparently, our system has misunderstood this and misrepresented, and they think that the influence is coming down from the Western society, and forgetting our own culture, values, and the main baseline, I would say, right? So this is a criminal mistake what our society has been doing. Rather than waking up to the oneself, this knowledge is certainly not available. I also see many, many times, when I discuss with somebody, and when I of course not too many would actually immediately notify it, but when I have a conversation with someone and they suddenly come back, and then they think that we are hijra, or something like this. So even the crowd doesn't know the kind of difference between who is hijra, who is this kinner or jogapa or whatever. There are many caste system in India, and who is a trans woman. Even the basic difference is just simply missing, because They have seen this kind of a crowd is suitable for standing in a traffic light and then seeking the arms. That's been a practice, right? So this ideology has to be eradicated from the system, and I don't know why the same system has been practiced also by the religion, that is Hijra or Arabani. Today they barge into marriages, they barge into so many other places. So that is their living. That's what they call it as, because that kind of generation or the earlier generations did not have the proper education and the system to accept and adapt into this culture, right? And today it is absolutely different. Everything is seen in a different direction altogether. And not only these cultures do exist, but I would also say that we also have other white collars like us, right? I mean, there are plenty of people who have achieved much more than what the existing generation is. Like me, I have done everything, and then now I'm trying to relook at it and revisit into the society and see how we can create that kind of difference. So this has to be brought in into the society, and of course the corporate responsibilities or the participation is certainly essential, and this should not be mistaken by the media or the public to misrepresent it or misunderstood behavior that is causing a big harm to the own changes and the growth in the society. Because when the finances stop and when people start criticizing, and the whole market falls down, that is something very, very bad.
That's really interesting. You were talking about the corporate social responsibility. So, how far our companies and brands have really promoted gender equality in recent times? Like, we see many brands promoting this inclusivity concept, but is it just a form of tokenism, or they have really created some real impact?
Yeah, as per my observation goes, and my discussion with some of these corporates, they say normally the first outcome of this is we don't have budget. We have allocated this to something else. Let's say, for example, they have a total budget of 2 crores, 2 crore Indian rupees for this. So in that, the budget to allocate for LGBT could be only 10 lakhs. They have other ideologies. They basically think of something different. And for this reason, we also requested them to, why don't we participate in terms of the marketing campaign too, that they could actively participate. But most of it are unfortunately not fully aware, and they have one or two employees in their organization, or they just want to create that kind of an impact. This is my observation, and they try to come out and try to see, we हम लोग पैसे बचाते हैं, we will just save some money, right? And we will try to gain that kind of big impact, big let's say the limelight area that we are thinking about. And in this situation, what happens? It is pretty discomforting for the community itself, but for the corporate responsibility programs, what they are running, they are trying to look the best of the mileage, and this year to be done. That's what they are looking at. They are not looking at real value add and value creation, because there is no documentation, there is no audit system available today. There is no one to certify. Even if they have done it, they just have some certificates to show some people, look, I've been the best employer award winner of so and so, so and so. But there's no actual practice itself. And I hardly have met. I have met with a lot of human resources chief and responsible for DEI in India, and so many people, but hardly I can see the kind of people are making that kind of difference. So there is certainly a change which is necessary, which I feel is the basic bottom line understanding, or the education itself is failing in this society. Not only in India, it is failing worldwide. And once we start pumping in that basic knowledge and bringing them back to the life, this makes a lot of difference for us. And this is what the change which we can try to create, where the corporates and the private people and the LGBT community, so-called minor community, can all join together and start working together. Because I see a lot of diversity in India, because there is a lot of competition. The moment you come and discuss one idea, everyone wants to copy. but they don't know the basics of it. This is the biggest issue that I see, that hey, we will do it. Let's run in this race. Why should we entertain this particular person? He's an alien or she's an alien. So this is the issue that I see in this corporate world too, that we need to change this competition behavior, plus a behavior that has to come in terms of really making the kind of difference into this society, right? And for that reason, there is a lot of mind block today because the system is really scattered. And I think, it's also important from the community that, they also look forward to clean it up themselves, that the the investments from the corporates are being enabled. Like the LGBT community is having their own personal problems, not coming out with real questions and real need to present to the corporate world. But therefore, even the corporates are not able to present themselves in a proper way to the society. Even though they are spending, they're just, it's just in a dream today. It's literally like that.
Really interesting point. Now you were talking about the education is lacking in this sector. So we had this debate on same-sex marriage recently, and many top media houses and influencers opposing it, saying that marriage is a sacred institution and same-sex marriage does not reflect that. So why do we still try to use Indian values and traditions as a tool to counter inclusivity in India?
See, Indian values, tradition, as I rightly said already, that our system is different. Our actual system is not being copied and implemented into real life. What we are simply following is what the Mughals entered, what Mughals left in our brains. What is Caucasians entered from England or the European Union territories, and then whatever they left in our mind, that's what we continue even today. But they have altered themselves. They have seen the best of the countries as of today. And in fact, Holland was the first one to legalize the same-sex marriage on this planet, the first country. And I have seen also Holland as the Rainbow Road, which is the longest rainbow road on this planet for 570 meters, and it is in Amsterdam University. Right? And similar way, the America has changed themselves. England, they themselves have changed because they ruled India. They themselves have changed. They evaded everything and they respect everything. Yeah, presently what is going on, that's a different debate altogether, because there are certain homophobic and transphobic people who enter into this, and they are under criticism, seriously, because the LGBT community is also protesting against the present government in UK, right? And the countries like Sweden or Israel or any other European Union territory countries, you see, they are far, far, far ahead. So these are our invaders, what they left with us. And unfortunately, because of lack of education in our system, I would say that, we are still struggling. We are still struggling to cope up. We are still struggling to see how we can wake up and then start walking. And even though the Supreme Court has legalized, and even I've been hearing about the arguments and discussions, and somebody is coming with some difficult topics, even there the LGBT community is working diverse, and the lawyers are working in a diverse manner because they feel that whatever the argument that they are doing is the best of the nature, and they don't trust with each other, they don't work also with each other. This is the biggest issue that I have seen in the system of India or the Supreme Court itself, and poetries are being read in the court. So I'm little bit stunned on this whole initiative. I would say that why can't we make everything more better and lovely place, rather than we all going in. I mean, I'm coming on a layman's perspective, forget about the legalities for a moment. I'm coming and approaching in a layman's perspective and requesting everybody, how do you wake up and why is all these things happening? Why can't you discuss on the facts and what was India? And how can we forget all these things? And today we are talking, who is a man, who is somebody, and somebody is giving a video and asking the honorable Chief Justice of India a question: are you a male or a she-male or whatever? What's your gender? Such kind of discussions and topics are coming out, and this is very humiliating. And why don't we stay with a proper argument that such people are completely out of the discussions. And also the knowledge, what was necessary, has not been on the table. Even today, it's not been on the table, even though despite that so many people are talking, they're just talking. There's nothing, there's no real substance which has been put on the ground that the Supreme Court can say, okay, I release this.
Yeah, that's really interesting point. Now I'm coming to the issue of representation in mass media like OTT and other platforms. We are witnessing more and more representation of LGBTQ plus community in recent years. But the thing is that is it really creating some kind of impact in real life situations? What do you think?
The LGBT community is certainly creating an impact, but to what extent, that is to be noted, right? So they are working, they are making the noise, but it's not collective. It's not that collective voice. I go out in the morning, I go in a forest, I hear various birds, coming in an synchronization. It's a harmony, it's an orchestra that I would love to hear that. Whereas in human beings, it doesn't happen. Right. I'm going in a very layman's perspective. I'm not talking about any sort of high funda related subjects today, because I want everyone to understand what are the basics. Because we are forgetting the basics, we are going out of the ground, we are just trying to fly at some 50,000 feet and argue something. This is not the way that we want to work with. And even the LGBT community itself, they have to start changing themselves. And I know that there are many people who are just standing on some podium discussing on it. Come on, tell me, what changes have you brought after you have left the podium? You have been talking for decades. You have been doing everything for many years, all that kind of effort. I want to see any sort of result. It has changed few lives. Have we done anything like this? Or can we do a orchestra together that at least the total society comes to the kind of attention and says that, okay, I'm here to listen to you guys. Please go on and let's remain on one page. This is very essential for us.
Yeah, that's really interesting. Now, like, what should be done to create more awareness in the society about these different communities at the grassroots level? Like, should we include this as a part of our school curriculum in future? What do you think?
Absolutely, Srishti. I would say that the XX chromosome is a girl, XY chromosome is boy, right? This is what we learn, and there is no biological sex at all. We don't read even the middle schools. I'll tell you an experience. Yesterday, no, not yesterday. It was like 2 3 days before, and I was presenting as a male. Okay, it's not. It is not common. And then I left, and then I went into a train. I just wanted to see the kind of response. I have my nail polish, and I have my long hair, all those things. So how do society react to me? Right. That's what I wanted to see. I just went into a local train, and then suddenly the girl was afraid. She was asking her mom, "Is it a girl or a boy?" So the mom was like, I don't know what she replied, and then the girl started to kick my foot after that continuously. So I just waved at her, said hi, and then she continued to kick it. Right. So this is the kind of education or the awareness that's available in the society. As simple as this, I'm just trying to put it forward. So the education is lacking. It's irrespective of the age group or whatever. And but whenever you're teaching the sexual education or the information to the kids, at least please include this as a part of this awareness program. At least some of the basics. The information is very clear. Second is, what are the scientific reasons for the LGBT community? I would say there are scientific reasons today. I would say that that's a real lifesavers, life-threatening issues are coming into the LGBT community group. Have we been presenting ourselves into this very well? We are not doing it. Nobody is aware of it. The society, they themselves not aware of it. Who is aware of it? And even I went to archaeology department, asked them any information is available, zero. I went to professors, I asked them, they are absolutely clueless. So, if this is the standard of our society or the education, or forget about these teachers, they would hardly know anything about it. This is the reason why I would love to spread the kind of awareness, and this is the reason why I'm also starting a program called Be India. That means it's an inclusivity, an inclusive drive that I want to bring into the society. Wanted to really create that kind of awareness and the change, because see, there's no one who wants to work on a grassroots level. And I want to include all the LGBT community and including the celebrities. You want to love, let's say the Shah Rukh Khan or some Bollywood people, coming and then talking, or some ministers talking. I would love to bring those people, educate them, and make them speak on our behalf, rather than I would like to go and then, who's going to listen to me? Today, somebody listens. After they walk out of that particular room, okay, I know something. And after a year, they're absolutely memory loss. No, they actually don't know anything. And they see those people on a traffic light everyday basis, and they have a different impression altogether. So the education has to come in. The involvement also needs to be there from the society with the community, so that the inclusive society can be called upon. When there is no involvement in day-to-day life on each of these people, including the corporate rainbow washing, what we call it as, the corporate social responsibility program, or money swindling or money laundering, it's happening very openly. I'm telling you, I don't want to hide anything, but this is openly happening in the name of rainbows and in the name of everything in India, or even in the worldwide community. The largest companies are doing this, including the small companies. Nobody knows anything, right? So this is the basics and basic awareness, and also the guidelines. I am trying to bring some system into this, so that we try to look forward to work together in a more together manner, rather than we working on isolation today the way we are working. And of course, the robots are coming and taking over our industries and the organizations, I would say. And even the robots are being trained. I have implemented the robots also, which after the governance of this DEI system, the robots are taking over on top of it, and they're ensuring that the satisfaction from the LGBT community and the employees within that company are synchronized, are in harmony. So this is a very important systems that we want to bring into the spaces wherever it's possible, so that people are more involved, rather than being left over in the society. And we go and stand in the courts and talk something. I don't know. I mean, how much of change are we trying to bring? Because the politics is giving another direction, because they're also not aware of anything. If I speak to anybody other than Mohan Bhagwat ji, I had a very difficult subject in that particular RSS itself. How could we communicate with these people, because they're absolutely clueless. What do we teach them? This is the issue. And Mohan Bhagwat could understand, but other people clueless. This is a practical issue that I want to share with you. That education is a very important topic. At least people should be aware of, and I want to share as much as scientific knowledge as possible to the society, and also what's happening. See, for example, I'm a trans woman, and what happens to me? How do I change myself? You can see my body is changed, everything is changed. How do I change myself? That is a huge process. It's like killing one and then bringing the other person alive. It's not like somebody says, okay, so on a social media, they message and then say, hey, come and dance with me. It's horrible to hear such things.
That's really inspiring to hear about your campaign, We India. Like, can you tell us about the campaign and how our viewers can associate with it or try to join it in future?
Definitely. See, this is a very inclusive journey campaign that we want to bring into the society. That's the first campaign in India that is happening, and it is the largest campaign in the world today that's happening also. So I'm driving about 12,000 kilometers, meeting every possible people and the culture and the kind of religions that we come across in Indian society, that I want to see that what sort of a difference can I bring on the table with each and every person, right? and we want to go to the remote places of India, let's say the Leh Ladakh region and then the Indo-China borders or Indo-Pakistan border. There's so many unattended places. There are so many, unaware of places. They are not connected to even Indian system, to be precise, right? They are there, they're Indians, but they're not into that kind of system, and the knowledge is not there. And I would like to bring that kind of a change with everybody. That we want to travel everywhere, meet with different people, children, and the Generation Z that I'm very much interested in, because that's what is the upcoming generation which will rule India. And the existing generation, if they wish to learn, we are happy. If they are wanting to taunt and continue the same way, we just don't want to do that kind of a change. But I certainly would love to see the kind of change upcoming in the next few years with the Generation Z itself. That we have the IAS administration officers or the Indian Foreign Services people, or the ministers or the police officers, and such kind of people with full awareness. We want to build that kind of strong system and not to waste our energy with the existing people, because if they are accepting, it's fine. If they are too God feared and influenced by these invaders, we just can't help them. We would like to let them, okay, please follow your own system, because we can't do much.
Yeah, that's really inspiring. Now, do you have any concluding remarks before I conclude this session for today?
State is very important that our system has to work together, including the legalities and the people. That's where the harmony should come in, right? When we have this harmony, it will be an amazing journey, so called, and we have a wonderful society. That's what I'm trying to say. What is the difference if we are keep on fighting and then the international media is making fun of us? That is India. Because I have been living abroad for 23 years. I've traveled worldwide. I know what, if India is taking a shame, it is a shame for me, my life also, because it's India. I'm Indian. I've never taken a citizenship of any other country. I mean, I could be a resident of some other country for this lifetime. I do have a lifetime residency, but I just don't want to do anything like this. I want to really see India growing. India is standing up. And for this reason, any sort of togetherness that we can bring, and the respect that we can share, that we can put on the table, this is what would actually change and start changing India. I would like to leave with this. Thank you.
Thank you so much for the wonderful session. It was indeed helpful for our
Yes.
audience in understanding this issue better. If our audience have any doubts or comments, to let us know in the comment section, or you can contact Dr. Anita via her profile link in the description box. To follow us for more such sessions in the future. Thank you, goodbye, and take care.